Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Pumela Lizondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this tech conversation, find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Let's start with what's coming up in the program. Now, we've got to play around with some defense technology at the Associated Automotive Distributors Exhibition, otherwise known as AAD. We went to the first Comic-Con in Africa. And our discussion is on the second Singularity Youth South Africa Summit. Summit Director Mick Mann is here for that discussion. Hello and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Mick.
Hi Zondi, thanks for having me.
All right, so now what happens at the summit?
So the Singularity Youth South Africa Summit is on the 15th and 16th of October at Kalami Grand Prix Racetrack. It's a two-day event where we're going to have exponential learning around, we're going to have experts, about 20 to 30 international experts around exponential technologies like robotics, 3D printing, biotechnology, and how we can solve Africa's problems.
Cool. I'm going to ask you to hold it there. We will have a deeper discussion later in the program, but first the technology and social media news. Now, something that you probably haven't thought about is that a lot of technologies we use daily start as defense technologies or in the army. Think mobile phones, phone communication, email and surveillance security cameras. I went to the Africa Aerospace and Defense Expo in Pretoria to look at some of what's new in military tech.
This is the one and only exhibition you find in the African continent. Therefore, it's not actually a South African exhibition. It should also be seen as an African initiative where other African countries are also provided with an opportunity to exhibit.
The industry's engineers are exposed to production and management practices of the major international players. They thus become assets for the broad economy.
Paramount South Africa, born from Paramount International. And I want to say we are proud of this black-owned company, led by me and other colleagues of mine. And we want to make a serious contribution to industrialization and defense technology development. We want to impact on the manufacturing of equipment for aircrafts, police vehicles, military vehicles, systems of communication, border guards, planes that help to guard against poachers who steal our animals, whether they be rhinos or elephants.
Flash is an amazing representation of South Africa's total capability. It is a collection of basically all of the systems that exist within South Africa to enable us to take any light helicopter and change the mission system and it basically create a weaponized system out of a light helicopter. We as Paramount Group designed the actual architecture for the mission system.
It's very advanced compared to what I'm used to. So I'm also walking around seeing some of the military equipment. Very interesting, very advanced. I would like to get into some of them and actually introduce some of these to our learners in the Eastern Cape. This is a very good opportunity and I feel like more schools from the Eastern Cape should have been here or should have actually just come to see what other institutions do around the world.
Africa had its very first Comic-Con here in South Africa. Organizers say that the turnout was overwhelming and unexpected. Here's a wrap of what took place there.
From the Khaleesi, mother of dragons in Game of Thrones, to Captain America from the Avengers, thousands of comic book and science fiction fans went head-to-head for the best costume at the first Comic-Con Africa last week Friday.
Well, it's the first time event on the African continent. As you can imagine, it's been overwhelming. We've had amazing interest. To the fact that I think this is one of the first launch shows of Reed Pop globally of Comic-Con that we actually sold out before the gates opened.
Comic-Con started in 1970 when a group of science fiction fans in San Diego got together to swap comic books. It has since grown into a globally recognized set of fantasy celebrations, drawing over 130,000 fans to events in London, Moscow, Delhi, Sydney and Dubai. The event now has attracted comic, superhero and anime fans from Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe and Nigeria, and aims at further expanding beyond South Africa.
I've been involved in a lot of Comic Cons around the world, in all the continents. We never thought the first ever Comic Con Africa would be this big. We thought it would take a while to build, but in fact, it's a smashing success and completely sold out. We did not expect that.
Comic and gaming fans couldn't hide their excitement of finally being a part of something they've enjoyed on TV screens.
Absolutely amazing. I feel like I've watched it from my home for so long and now I actually get to be in it, so it's crazy that it's here.
My favorite character is Double G from Game Shakers, the show from Nickelodeon.
I really like the diversity of content that I've seen, a lot of representation for gaming and comic books, some anime.
The event's arrival in Africa coincides with a big push by streaming services such as Netflix and Nasper's Showmax to expand to capitalize on the continent's love of comics and Hollywood movies.
The Godfathers is a popular deep house DJing duo. They play in clubs, events and bright spots all over South Africa. The duo also has a music download app that plans to rival big international players with original South African music.
We are a music label, but we call ourselves a technology company. And the music app is really our first product. The next step is to develop a software that produces music, because currently we are using overseas software. I don't know of any software produced locally that you use to produce electronic music. That's our next step. We are providing them with music. We're providing MTN with music. We're providing Vodacom. We're providing iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, you name them. We do provide them with music.
It is a SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. After the break, we discuss the Singularity Youth Summit with McMahon. Stay with us.
Ekurhuleni Artisans and Skills Training Center is a practical artisans and skills development center who equips students with the necessary knowledge and practical experience to enter the labor force as semi-skilled workers. There is a strong focus and need for skills training in specific areas like boiler making, rigging, pipe fitting, welding, CNC programming, plumbing, electrical, air conditioning and refrigeration, bricklaying, carpentry and painting at the center. Ensure your future today with the Ekurhuleni Artisans and Skills Training Center.
More than 100 heads of state and government are expected in New York for the high-level segment of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly. The largest gathering of presidents and prime ministers anywhere on the planet. Some familiar faces won't be returning for the first time in decades. Others will be making their debut at the prestigious gathering, while thousands of news media from around the world will be spoilt for choice.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself.
High-level meetings include the one-day Nelson Mandela Peace Summit on September 24th, including a donation of a life-sized Madiba statue to the UN. The general debate starts on September 25th, while side events include a focus on eradicating tuberculosis, controlling non-communicable diseases, non-proliferation, and financing for the 2030 Agenda.
The world is counting on all of us to rise to the challenge before it is too late.
The SABC Foreign Desk will bring you comprehensive coverage of UNGA 73. SABC News, impartial and independent.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, here on Network, we've heard how people worry about losing jobs to machines. Many Africans think there is a future that will mean they are not necessary in the job market. That is part of what will be discussed at the second Singularity U South Africa Summit. Director of the summit, McMahon, is in studio to discuss that with me. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Mick.
How's it, Sunday? Great to be here.
You held a press briefing about this, virtual reality press briefing. Tell us about that. How did it go? Everyone on their goggles?
Yeah, on Tuesday, on the 18th of September, we held the first global VR press conference out of Africa, where we actually got to dip our toes into the future and experience what it's going to be like to have a conference in a virtual reality space, and where we brought in our Singularity U South Africa Summit partners and sponsors in the real world, and then we were joined by Singularity University CEO Rob Nail, as well as the Singularity leadership from Portugal, Canada, and Denmark, all in a virtual meeting room, and the media were given the chance to ask questions to all of us in a virtual reality environment.
I suppose that's what the future might look like, where everyone is going to be on their VR goggles, chatting to people they can't see, being in character as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to completely disrupt and change the way we do things at the moment, because you can cross international borders without having to pay for flights or the huge travel costs that are associated with, and it's quite an immersive experience. You can see each other, you can see their hand movements, and it's really incredible. After a while, you forget you're in this virtual world.
Is that part of what's going to be discussed at the Johannesburg Summit?
Yeah, that is part of the things we will discuss. We've got Jody Medic, who's the Singularity University faculty on virtual and augmented reality, and she was instrumental in the design of the HoloLens, the Microsoft HoloLens, as well as the Leap Motion, which is a hand tracking device. And she's going to talk about extended reality, what happens when we go past augmented and virtual and it becomes mixed, and our world is indistinguishable from what's real and what's virtual.
Who else is going to be there? What are they going to be discussing?
So we've got an incredible lineup of speakers. We've got Aubrey de Grey, who is his life's mission is to fight the disease called aging, where he has created the system called Sense, which basically works on how do we repair and maintain our body like you would a car, because then you can swap out parts and live a much longer life. And he predicts that there are already people that are going to live to 1,000 on the planet. We've got guys like Jason Dunn, who created this company called Made in Space, where he has created, him and his team, he was a Singularity University student, and him and his team were trying to work out how do they move goods from Earth to space in a much more cost-effective way. And Jason said, why do we have to move the goods from Earth at all? Why don't we just make them in space? And they created this zero-gravity 3D printer. We've got an incredible lineup of Africans and South Africans. We've got Fred Swaneker, who's a Ghanaian, who went to Stanford University and had education there, and he said, why don't we have this type of education in Africa? And he's created the African Leadership Academy, trying to build the next set of exponential leaders of tomorrow in Africa. We've got Dr. Geki Karari, who will be doing a fireside chat on governance and democracy with Alex Gladstein, the head of the Human Rights Foundation. And the list just goes on and on. It's going to be over 32 speakers over the 2 days. We've got Richard Browning, who's the real-life Iron Man, who's created the gravity suit. So we've got an incredible lineup. We're really excited, and we've got a big focus on education this year. How do we solve this major global grand challenge called education in our continent,
especially in a digital world? Now, Singularity U Summits take place all over the world. Why did you see the need to bring this to Africa when there are others in North America and Scandinavia, for example, and other parts of the world?
Well, Singularity University aims to educate, empower, and inspire leaders and innovators to apply exponential technologies to solve some of the world's global grand challenges. And in Africa, we have our own set of challenges, as we know. So our aim as Singularity U South Africa is to build this globally connected network across Africa of leaders who can implement solutions to solve some of these big problems, so that we can hashtag future-proof Africa and not be caught up, left behind as this technological wave of digital transformation takes place. Rather, we can be leading the way than chasing the tail of disruption.
And where do we go to find these tickets, to find out about how we can future-proof Africa?
So you can go to the Singularity U South Africa Summit.org website, where you can find out all about the summit. And we're almost sold out. There's only about 30 tickets left. We're going to have about over 1,800 people. So if you want to attend the summit, I would urge you to go as soon as you can to get your tickets. You can also find us on SU South Africa on Facebook and on Twitter, as well as on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Now, lastly, should I worry about my work? Will machines be taking over the work that I do?
I can't comment whether they will or they won't. All I know is that things are changing. But we believe at Singularity University that the future is going to be abundant, and technology enables us as humans to do more and enhances our capabilities. So you're going to be enhanced in your role, I'm sure.
Okay, so I shouldn't worry too much. I should just wait to be enhanced.
Yeah.
All right.
You should want to use it for the better of mankind.
All right, Mick Man, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Mick Man there is the director of the Singularity U South Africa Summit. We also caught up with the Public Service Commissioner, Phumelele Nzimande, and she told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
This is my favorite piece of technology, my phone, because here, to begin with, I have my mobile office. Wherever I am, my emails are here. When I need to communicate, I've got a family WhatsApp group to communicate with my kids on a daily basis. My camera is here, all my photos here with my grandchildren. I'm a seriously tech magriza.
SABC is independent and impartial, and it's important that as we deliver the news, we do so without fear, without favour, without prejudice, and that we ensure that we get the multiplicity of views so that our stories and coverage is balanced.
We pride ourselves on being impartial as well as independent. On the agenda, we basically break down the stories of the day, give it more substance and give it more detail. So all in all, we basically take the news agenda of the day forward.
But more than that, we'll be able to reflect the stories of ordinary folk, people who are trying to make ends meet, facing the most incredibly difficult obstacles and circumstances, and that they will find that their realities are expressed on the SABC.
To be a part of something like this makes me proud, and I think that to be able to report the news in a fair, just, independent and impartial way is what the public broadcaster stands for.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, new cooling technology to be installed in protection suits for Ebola healthcare workers. And Jack Ma gives Chinese entrepreneurs words of wisdom at the country's computing conference. These are some of the stories that made tech headlines in the rest of the world in the last week.
Protective suits are an essential kit for some workers like firefighters and healthcare workers, but staying cool enough to work for long periods is a challenge. A team at California's university working on the regulation of body temperature have created a cooling system that could double the amount of time workers can spend wearing protective suits. The research was prompted by healthcare workers from Sierra Leone who experienced debilitating heat when wearing suits that protected them from the highly infectious Ebola virus. In these lab conditions, the cooling system allowed the students to spend at least double the time being active than without it, and some tripled and quadrupled the time spent being active. The team is working on a prototype that can be mass-produced and is continuing to study the effect of overheating on cognition. The face of trade tensions between the United States and China, it's crucial for the companies to make long-term preparations, said Jack Ma, executive chairman of tech giant Alibaba, at a computing conference organized by the group in East China city of Hangzhou.
We believe that many SMEs will suffer a lot from the trade frictions, but I also believe that a number of outstanding enterprises will emerge in these difficult times. All enterprises that use new ideas and new technologies will definitely win out eventually. In the face of today's trade war, I still believe in one thing, that you must focus on yourself, make long-term preparations, and not pay much attention to others.
The trade tensions between the two countries haven't failed to catch the notice of business and thought leaders in China. Ma, who delivered the speech at the opening of 2018 computing conference, offered words of wisdom to entrepreneurs hoping to weather the storm of trade uncertainty. In France, what if the next rebrand is a computer algorithm? Obvious, a collective of Paris artist entrepreneurs is using artificial intelligence to create fine art that they hope would one day be hung alongside Renaissance portraits in prestigious galleries. One of their creations will be auctioned in Christine in October.
With this series of portraits, we have really decided to integrate the world of art and to ask the question surrounding this medium we have here, and that is, can a machine be creative? And to show to most people what is possible with technology of artificial intelligence.
Pierre, Gatha and Hugo's experiment is only in the nicer stage. They are looking to build new databases so the algorithm can perhaps create sculptures or traditional Japanese art.
And with Netflix and other players in the market, this week our Twitter poll is asking you how you watch your video content. Now, 45% of respondents say television. That is a huge number and our biggest one. 13% say through piracy. There's 18% which says legal streaming services. 24% of respondents, and in second place are those who say they do not watch any video content at all. Wonder how true that is. Now, that's all we have for you. We leave you with visuals of a test race of super automobiles held in Turkey. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Bye-bye.
I-1000 akukhona ukuhlala